class we were discussing the problems from the probability section and forecasting techniques of section B. The probability section in the forecasting techniques of section B, planning, budgeting and forecasting. Today we will be continuing the class, continuing with the questions. So we continue with the problems from the probability section. The next problem. A sales manager of Cerrito Road Company has suggested that an expanded advertising campaign costing $40,000 would increase the sales and profits of the company. He has developed the following probability distribution for the effect of the advertising campaign on company sales, and the expected sale increase in units and the respective probabilities are provided to us. And the question is, the company sells the dolls at $5.2 each. The cost of each doll is $3.2. Cerrito's expected incremental profit if the advertising campaign is adopted would be, and we are given the 4 options. So the question that you asked to us is to find the expected incremental profit when the advertising campaign is adopted. So here we are provided with the expected sale increase as a result of into adopting the advertising campaign, and the probabilities are provided. And the question is asked to find the incremental profit. So what is the profit? Profit is the revenue less cost. So here we given with the revenue and sales of a unit, revenue and cost of a unit. So we could find a per unit profit, and we are provided with the sales increase. Incremental profit will be the profit from the increased sale. So the expected sale increase and the probability is given. We need to find the expected sale increase, and we should multiply that sale amount with the profit amount, and we need to subtract the 40,000 cost of the advertising campaign. Here we get the total incremental profit or the expected incremental profit by adopting this advertising campaign. So first of all, let's find the expected incremental sales or expected increase in the sales units. Here provided with the sales increase data and the probability, we just need to multiply the sales increase and their probability and find the expected value of sale increase. 15,000 into 10% will be 1,500, and we have 30,000 into 35% is going to be 10,500. 45,000 into 10% is going to be 4,500. 60,000 into 0.25 is going to be 15,000, and 75,000 into 0.2 is going to be 15,000. So the expected value of sales equals 15,000 plus 15,000 plus 4,500 plus 10,500 plus 1,500, which will be 46,500. This is the expected increase in the sales. So again, we are provided with the revenue and cost details. The sale value of a doll is 5.2 and the cost of a doll is 3.2. So the profit will be 5.2 minus 3.2, which will be 2. $2 is going to be the profit per unit. So 46,500 into 2 will be the profit. 93,000. But we are incurring cost of 40,000 in order to adopt this advertising campaign. We need to reduce that cost from this profit to get the total profit. So 93,000 minus 40,000 is going to be 53,000. That is the incremental profit that is expected to earn from the selling of doll after the adoption of the advertising campaign. So let's check the answer. Yes, we have option C, 53,000 here. And let's check. Yes, option C is the right answer. Are you clear? So let's move to the next question. Next question. Realtel is conducting market research to determine whether or not to launch a new product. Management believes there is a 60% probability the research will yield favorable results with a 40% probability the results will be unfavorable. So here we are given with the data relating to conducting of a research. Data is 60% probability the research will yield favorable result and 40% probability the result will be unfavorable. If the results are favorable, there is 70% probability the product will be successful. If the results are unfavorable, the probability the product will be unsuccessful is 75%. If the product is successful, Realtel anticipates annual profits of 10 million, but if the product is unsuccessful, Realtel will lose 4 million each year. So the question is, the expected value of the new product's annual profit is, we are asked to find the expected value. So here we are provided with the information relating to the research and their chance of getting favorable results. So why we conduct research, there is 60% probability that the result will be favorable result and 40% probability that the result will be unfavorable. If the research results are favorable, there is 70% probability that the product will be successful and 30% probability product will be unsuccessful. And if the results are unfavorable, the probability that the product will be unsuccessful is going to be 75%. And remaining 25% probability will be provided to the product be successful. If the product is successful, the annual profit expected is 10 million. And if the product is unsuccessful, they will lose 4 million. So we are asked to find the expected value. Expected value of the annual profits. How can we find this? Sorry, the option A is the right answer because the lowest here the option is given the lowest expected demand, not the lowest expected cost. If the answer is provided like the lowest expected cost, we could use the option B, but it is provided the lowest expected demand. But among the 4 options, the best suiting one is a semi-automatic machine, which is having the lowest expected cost, not the lowest, but expected cost lower than compared to the automatic machine. Single purpose machine is having the lowest expected demand, which is not true. The demand for the single purpose machine is 30,000 itself. The demand does not change with the use of the machine. Information is already provided in the question, like the sale price is unaffected by the machines which is used, and the sale quantity is also not affected by the type of machine that we use. So the option A is the right option. Sorry for the inconvenience. Are you clear? Okay. Let's move to the next question. Which one of the following 4 probability distributions provides the highest expected monetary value? We have gone with 4 alternatives: alternative 1, alternative 2, alternative 3, alternative 4, and the probability and the expected cash flows, possible cash flows are also provided to us. We are asked to find the highest expected monetary value. We just need to multiply the probability with the respective cash flows to find the expected cash flows and find which one is having the highest expected monetary value. That is going to be our answer. So let's find for alternative 1. So for alternative 1, the expected cash flow and the probability is 50,000 into 10% is 5,000. 75,000 into 20% is 15,000. 100,000 into 40% is going to be 40,000. 150,000 into 30% is going to be 45,000. So the expected cash flow is for 5,000 plus 15,000 plus 40,000 plus 45,000, which is 105,000. And for alternative 4, 150,000 into 10% is 15,000. 100,000 into 20% is 20,000. 75,000 into 40% is 30,000. And 50,000 into 30% is 150,000. 15,000. So the expected cash flow is 15,000 plus 15,000 plus 20,000 plus 30,000 plus 15,000, which is 80,000. Next for alternative 3, 50,000 into 10% is going to be 5,000. 75,000 into 20% 15,000. 100,000 into 40% 40,000. 125,000 into 30% 37,500. So the expected cash flow is 37,500 plus 40,000 plus 15,000 plus 5,000. It is 97,500. And for alternative 2, 50,000 into 10% 5,000. 75,000 into 10% 15,000. 100,000 into 45% 45,000. 150,000 into 25% is 37,500. So the expected cash flow is 37,500 plus 45,000 plus 15,000 plus 5,000 is 102,500. So among the 4 alternatives, the one having the highest expected monetary value is alternative 2, which is alternative 1, which is having 105,000. Alternative 2 is only having 102,500. So alternative 1 is the right answer, which is having the highest expected monetary value. Are you clear? Yes, option A. Again, we have the same question for the College Honor Society selling hot pretzels. So the frequency distribution of the demand for pretzels per game is presented as follows. The respective sales volume and the respective probabilities are provided to us. So what is the final question? The pretzels are sold for $1 and the cost per pretzel is $0.3. Any unsold pretzels are discarded because they will be stale before the next home game. The conditional profit or loss per game of having 4,000 pretzels available but being able to sell 5,000 pretzels if they had been available is. So we are provided that we are having 4,000 pretzels, and what is the conditional profit of selling this 5,000 pretzels? So we know that we only having 4,000 pretzels and we could only sell 4,000 pretzels. We could not sell 5,000 pretzels because we only have 4,000 pretzels in our hand. So what will be the conditional profit that we earn by selling 5,000 pretzels but having 4,000 pretzels is the profit by selling this 4,000 pretzels itself, because it is not possible to sell us 5,000 pretzels by having 4,000 pretzels. The only profit way that we could earn is from the sale of 4,000 pretzels. What is the profit of selling this 4,000 pretzels? The Sale value is 1 and the cost of one pretzel is going to be $0.3. So the profit per pretzel is 0.7. So 4,000 pretzels, the profit is going to be 4,000 into 0.7, which is 2,800. Option C is the right answer, because it is unable for us, it will be unable for us to sell 5,000 pretzels. By having 4,000 pretzels, we could only sell 5,000 pretzels. So 4,000 pretzels. Is it clear? You could just read the explanation, because here. It is impossible to sell more products than are supplied. Furthermore, conditional profit does not take into consideration any opportunity loss of lost sale because of not being able to fulfill all that is demanded. So the conditional profit of having 4,000 pretzels and a demand of 5,000 is the same as having 4,000 pretzels available and having a demand of 4,000. The 4,000 are sold at a price of 1 each and the cost is $0.3 each. The profit is 1 minus 0.3, that is 0.7 into 4,000, 2,800. Are you clear with the explanation? Okay, I'll show you. Yes. I have to read it. Is it over? Okay. Okay. Then the next question. Staff Corporation's controller has decided to use a decision model to cope with uncertainty. With a particular proposal currently under consideration, staff has two possible actions: invest or not invest in a joint venture with an international firm. The controller has determined the following. Action 1, invest in joint venture. The events and the probabilities are provided to us. Probability of success is 60%. Automatically, the probability of not being success is going to be 40%. Cost of investment is 9.5 million. Cash flow if investment is successful is going to be 15 million. The cash flow if investment is unsuccessful is going to be 2 million. And additional cost to be paid is $0 cost incurred up to this point. So cost up to this point is 650,000. Next, action 2, do not invest in the joint venture. Cost up to this point is going to be 650,000 and additional cost to be paid 100,000. If we decided not to invest in the joint venture, we need to pay additional $100,000. So, which one of the following alternatives correctly reflects the respective expected values of investing versus not investing? So, we are given with 4 options, and the question is regarding to find the respective expected values of investing and not investing. So, if we are investing, what is going to be your expected value? So, we are given with the probability of success and the cash flows related to the investment is successful and being unsuccessful. So, if the investment is successful, we could earn 15 million, and if the investment is unsuccessful, we could only earn 2 million. And the probability of success is 60%, and the probability of not being success is remaining 40%. So, if the cash flows investment, so what will be the expected value if the investment is going to be successful? So cash flow of investment is successful is going to be 15 million and the probability of being success is 60% plus cash flow of investment is successful is 2 million and the probability of being unsuccessful is 40%. So the expected value from the investment being successful is expected value for investing in the joint venture is going to be 15 million into 60% plus 2 million into 40%, which is 9.8 million. This is the cash flow, and we know that we made an investment in the investment of how much? 9.5 million. So what will be the expected cash flow? Which will be the 9.8 million inflow minus the outflow of 9.5 million, which is going to be 300,000. We could ignore the cash incurred up to this point because they are the sunk cost. Because our any future decision is not going to change the cost that we incurred up to this point. They are the sunk cost and they are irrelevant to decision making process. We do not need to consider the sunk cost. So the expected value from the investing in this joint venture is going to be 300,000. And the expected value from non-investing in this is going to be, we know that additional cost to be paid is 100,000. So this 100,000 we need to pay if we decided not to invest in this joint venture. We could ignore the 650,000 of the cost incurred to this point because here also it is sunk cost. We could not reverse this decision. So the expected cash flow from the investing is 300,000 and the expected cash flow from not investing is negative 100,000. Okay. Here, among the four options, the option that correctly says this is option B, 300,000 and 100,000 outflow. Is it clear? Just read out the explanation. Costs incurred up to this point are irrelevant to the decision to be made because they are costs that have already been the part. Okay. Yes, let's read out the explanation. There it is correctly mentioning the information related to the sunk cost. Because costs incurred up to this point are irrelevant to the decision to be made because they are costs that have already been incurred and they are called sunk costs and they cannot be changed. So the only cash flow that make a difference in this decision are the expected future cash flow. The sunk costs are the cost that is already incurred up to this point, whether our decision to invest or not invest is not going to change that cost, is not going to impact that cost because they have already been incurred. Our any future decision is not going to impact that cost, or we could not reverse our decision of incurring that cost till that point. So in our decision regarding whether to invest or not decision, these sunk cost does not have any part to play. So we just want to ignore the sunk costs because they are irrelevant to the decision making process. Are you clear? Are you clear with the explanation of the sunk cost? Why we do not consider sunk cost in this decision making? But in first case, we didn't take additional cost. Additional cost. Given additional cost to be paid is $0. There is no cost. Additional cost to be paid is $0. There is no cost, so we do not need to take that additional cost. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next question. A manager is reviewing a potential investment which has significant uncertainty regarding its ultimate financial outcome. The manager has estimated the following probabilities for the various levels of net cash flows that may result from the investment. So the manager is reviewing a potential investment. So there are certain uncertainty relating to the outcome of this investment, and the management has estimated the probability levels of the various cash flows that is going to be resulted from this investment, and we are provided with the probability data and their net cash flows are provided. The question is, what is the expected value of net cash flows that the manager should use in evaluating the investment? The question is regarding to find the expected value of net cash flow. It's very simple. We just need to multiply the net cash flow with their relative probabilities and find the expected cash flow. Okay, let's find. Negative 300,000 into 10% is going to be 30,000. Here it is nothing because 0 into 20% is 0. 100,000 into 50% is 50,000. 600,000 into 20% is 120,000. So the total cash flow is 120,000 plus 50,000, 170,000 minus 30,000, 140,000 is our expected cash flow from this investment. Yes, option B, there is 140,000. So that is our answer. Is it clear? Very simple question. So next question. So refer to the profit. We did this type of questions earlier. So let's check what is the difference in this question. Refer to the profit payoff table below, and we are provided the demand and supply figures, and the respective probabilities are also provided to us. The expected profit when the supply equals 4 units. Here we provide the supply data. When the supply equals 4 units, what is the expected profit? So we just only need to find the expected profit at the supply level of 4%. Here we are provided with their corresponding probabilities. We just need to multiply this expected payoffs with their respective probabilities in order to find the expected profit. So what is 160 into 0.1 plus 120 into 0.3 plus 80 into 0.4 plus 80 into 0.2. This is going to be our expected profit. So 160 into 10% is 60 plus 120 into 0.3 is 36 plus 80 into 40% is 32 plus 80 into 20% is 60. So 32 plus 60 minus 36 minus 60 negative 4. Which is going to be our expected profit. Okay, expected profit of 20. 160 into 10%, 60, 40 into, sorry, it's not 120, so I just made a mistake, it is 40. 40 into 30% is 12. So 32 plus 16 minus 12 minus 16 is going to be 20. Which will be the expected profit when the supply equals 4 units. Are you clear? Okay. Option D is the right answer. Next question. A car rental agency has a policy of replacing the tires on its car fleet as the tires wear out. Management wonders if there would be any cost savings if the tires are periodically replaced at one time on its fleet of 500 cars. The technique the car rental agency would find more useful is. So, the policy of this car rental agency is that they will replace the tires on their car fleets when the tire is wear out, and the management is considering whether there would be any cost savings if the tires is going to be replaced periodically at one time on its fleet of 500 cars, and the technique that car rental agency would find more useful for this analysis is what? Can you give me the answer? Option A, probability analysis, because they are considering whether there would be any cost savings. There is uncertainty. They are considering whether there would be any cost savings if the tires are periodically replaced at one time. So there is an uncertainty, or there will be not sure regarding this cost savings. So they are considering whether to do it or not. In such a decision situation, the best technique that we could apply is the probability analysis. Learning curve. What is learning curve? Learning curve represents that if a person with a given task, a person is given a task, his experience in that task increases, his efficiency is going to increase. By the increase in his efficiency, the cost and the time required to perform the task is going to decrease. This is what is called learning curve. Linear programming is used for optimization decision to find optimum profit, optimum cost, or profit maximization or cost minimization decision. Statistical sampling is required in a situation where there is a lot of population and we need to select some of them from this data. We are using the statistical sampling. So the among this four option, the right option is probability analysis. Okay, let's have a look at the explanation. Probability gives a means of measuring numerically how likely it is that an event will occur. Likelihood of an occurrence of an event is measured using this probability. So it enables us to quantify and analyze uncertainties. So it can provide an estimate of what condition the tires of the fleet are at any point in time, and the expected value of replacing all tires at once versus replacing them as they wear out. So we are going to find the expected value of replacing the tires as they wear out and replacing the tires periodically at any point in time. The expected value of these two situations is that what we are going to analyze using this probability. So are you clear with the explanation? Okay. Next, again, we have a theory question. The Booster Club at Blair College sells hot dogs at home basketball games. The group has a frequency distribution of the demand for hot dogs per game and plans to apply the expected value decision rule to determine the number of hot dogs to stock. At Blair College sells hot dogs at home basketball games, and they have frequency distribution of the demand for hot dogs and the expected value decision. They use expected value decision rule to determine the number of hot dogs to stock, and the expected monetary value of this act is what is the expected monetary value. So option A, sum of the conditional profit for each event. Option B, sum of the products of the conditional profit or loss for each event multiplied by the probability of each event's occurrence. Option C, sum of the conditional opportunity loss of each event times the probability of each event occurring. Option D, conditional profit or loss for the best event times the probability of each event's occurrence. So what is the expected value? How we could find expected value is what we asked. So can you give me the answer? Option B, right. Yes. Sum of the products of the conditional profit or loss for each event multiplied by we need to multiply the conditional profit or loss for each event with the respective probability and need to sum it up. We get the expected monetary value relating to the profits or cash flow that we could earn from such event. So the next question. Hayden Rose has 4 booth rental options at the country fair where he plans to sell his new product for $37.5 per unit with a cost of $12.5. Assuming there is a 40% probability that 70 units will be sold and 60% probability that 40 units will be sold, which of the following booth rental options would maximize income? So the question asked is, which of the following rental option? We are given with 4 rental options, 4 different cost structures. We have to find which one will maximize our income. The lowest cost structure is going to maximize our income. So we need to find which one is having the lowest cost structure. So we know that we are given with the sales price and the cost of the fair. Sorry, cost of the product, and we are given the probability of our sales values. We need to, first of all, we need to find the expected sales. So the probability that 70 units to be sold is 40%, and the probability that 40 units will be sold is 60%. Then we could find the expected value, which is 28 plus 24, which is going to be 52. Right. There is a 40% probability that 70 units will be sold, and there is 60% probability that 40 units will be sold. So the total sales value, so expected sales would be 28 plus 24, which is 52. This will be the sales value. 52 units will be sold, expected sold, and we know that the sale price of the plan is 37.5 per unit with a cost of 12.5, and here the revenue generated is going to be 52 into sale price of the product is 37.5, which is 1950. The revenue that is going to be generated by selling of this product is 1950. And the first option is 1000 fixed fee, and second option 200 fixed fee plus 60% of all revenue generated at the fair. 60% of the revenue is 60% of 1950, which is 1170, which will equals 200 plus 1170 will be 1370. And for the third option, 750 plus 5% of all revenue generated at the fair. The whole revenue is 1950 into 5% is 97.5. 97.5 plus 750 is going to be 847.5. 20% of all revenue generated at the fair. The revenue generated at the fair is 1950, 20% of which equals 390. So among this option, which one is going to maximize our income is the one which is having the lowest cost structure. So which one is having the lowest cost among this four, which is 20% of all revenue generated. Yes. Option D is the right answer, because for option D we could only incur 390 of the cost. For option C it is $847.5. Option B it is 1370, or option A 1000 fixed fee. So among the four options that is having the lowest possible cost is for option D, which is $390 alone. So right answer is option D. Are you clear? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Philip Enterprises, distributor of compact disc, is developing its budgeted cost of goods sold for 2013. Philip has developed the following range of sales estimates and associated probabilities for the year. Philip's cost of goods sold averages 80% of the sales. What is the expected value of Philips 2013's budgeted cost of goods sold? So the question is asked for the expected value of the budgeted cost of goods sold. For that purpose, cost of goods sold averages 80% of the sales, and we are given with the estimated sales values and their probability. First of all, we need to find the expected sales value. So what will be the expected sales value? It is going to be 60,000 into 25% plus 85,000 into 40% plus 100,000 into 35%, which is 84,000. That's our expected sales value. So, having this expected sales value, 80% represents the cost of goods sold. So, 84,000 into 80% or 80% of the sales is going to be 67,200, which represents the cost of goods sold. So, option C is the right answer. You get it? Okay, again the expected value question. So stock has the following probability distribution of expected future returns. The probability and the expected return are provided to us. The expected rate of return on stock X would be, just multiply this expected return with their respective probability. So negative 20 into 10% to 5 into 20%, 1, 15 into 40%, 6, 20 into 20%, 4, 30 into 10%, 3. So our expected return is 1 plus 6 plus 4 plus 3 minus 2, which is 12%. So option D is the right answer. Are you clear? You get it? Okay. So just a moment. Okay, let's continue. So next question. Okay. According to recent focus sessions, Norton Corporation has a can't miss consumer product on its hands. Sales forecast indicate either excellent or good results, with Norton sales manager assigning a probability of 0.6 to a good results outcome. The company is now studying various sales compensation plans for the product and has determined the following contribution margin data. If sales are excellent and if sales are good, and plan 1 and plan 2, their respective contribution margin is provided to us. On the basis of this information, which of the following statements is correct? The statements are: Plan 1 should be adopted because it is 8,000 more attractive than Plan 2. Plan 2 should be adopted because it is 10,000 more attractive than Plan 1. Plan 1 should be adopted because of the sales manager's higher confidence in good results. Either plan should be adopted with the decision being independent on the probability of excellent sales result. So what does the 4 options says is whether to adopt plan 1 or plan 2, which one is more attractive or which one is less attractive. So first of all, let's find which plan is the best one based on the data provided below above. So we are provided with the Norton sales manager assigning a probability of 0.6 to a good result. Good result is having 0.6 probability. So excellent result is having the remaining 40% probability, right? So let's check what is the expected value for plan 1. If plan 1 is adopted, if the sales are excellent, plan 1 is adopted, the cash flow is going to be, contribution margin is going to be 30,000. And if sales are expected, the probability is 40%. Plus, if the sales are good, plan 1 will provide to 40,000 of a contribution margin at a probability level of 60% of the sales being good. So the total expected contribution margin from plan 1 is going to be 300,000 into 40 percentage plus 240,000 into 60 percentage, which is 264,000. And let's take for plan B. So plan 2. What is it? 370,000 will be the contribution margin if the sales is excellent, having 40% probability, plus 180,000 will be the contribution margin if the sales are good, having probability of 60%. So the expected cash flow is going to be 370,000 into 40% plus 180,000 into 60%. Total will be 256,000. So which plan is more attractive? Plan 1 is more attractive because their expected contribution margin is 264,000, while for plan 2 it is 256,000 alone. So plan 1 is having 8,000 more contribution margin. The difference between the expected contribution margin of plan 1 and plan 2 is 8,000. So just look into the question options. Plan 1. On basis of our expected value analysis, we decided to, our advice is to adopt plan A because they are having larger expected contribution margin. So by looking at the options, plan 1 should be adopted because it is 8,000 more attractive than plan 2. Yes, it is the right, because we know that plan 1 is having 264,000 expected contribution margin, while plan 2 is only having 250,000, the difference of which is 8,000. Plan A. Let's look at plan 2 should be adopted because it is 10,000 more attractive than plan 1, which is found that plan 1 is having the highest contribution margin. Option B cannot be. Plan 1 should be adopted because of the sales manager's higher confidence in good results. No, because we are basing our decision on the expected value analysis, not on the confidence level of the sales manager. We could not make a decision based upon the confidence level, so we could not take this. Either plan should be adopted, the decision being dependent on the probability of excellent sales result. No, we could only adopt either plan 1 or plan 1 based on the probability of excellent sales. We could not do that. So among the 4 options, the right option is option A. Yes. Are you clear? Yes. Let's look into the next question. Okay. In decision making under conditions of uncertainty, expected value refers to. That's the question. Okay. In decision making under conditions of uncertainty, the expected value refers to. What is the expected value? It's a weighted average of probable outcomes of an action, likely outcome of a proposed action, probability of a given outcome from a proposed action, present value of alternative action. What is the expected value? Can you give me the answer? Option A. Let's check. Option A is the right answer, because it's a weighted average of the probable outcome of an action. We are multiplying the possible outcome from an action with its respective probability to find the expected value. Then option, what does option B says? Likely outcome of a proposed action. The likely outcome of the proposed action is not the one which is the expected value. Probability of a given outcome from a proposed action is not the expected value. present value of alternative actions. It is not the expected value. So what is the definition of the expected value says? It is the weighted average of the probable outcomes of an action, with probabilities being the weights. So 31 option answer is option A. Okay. Let's check the next question. The Lions Club is planning to sell pretzels at a local football game and has estimated sales demand as follows. The sales demand and probabilities provided to us. The cost of the pretzels varies with the quantity purchased as follows. The purchase quantity and the relative cost are provided to us. And next, any unsold pretzels would be donated to the local food bank. The calculated profits at the various sales demand levels and purchase quantities are as follows. Demand and at the profit at various demand and supply levels are provided to us. And which of the following purchase quantities would you recommend to the Lions Club? So we have the probabilities of 8,000, 10, 40, 30% and 20% respectively. So for sales demand, the 10, 40, we just write down 10, 40, 30 and 20. Is it right? Let me check once more. 10, 40, 30, 20. So we need to find which is the purchase quantity that we should recommend based on what? Based on the expected profit. So we could find what will be the sales demand at 8,000 supply level. Expected profit at 8,000 supply level. At 8,000 supply level, the expected payoff is 6,000. 6,000 into 100% is going to be 6,000 itself, because 10%, 40%, 30%, 20% equals 100% together. And at, we just did that this kind of problem before. At 10,000 supply level, it will be 4,000 into 10% plus 8,000 into the remaining percentage, 40, 30 and 20, which will be 70 plus 20, which is 90%, which is going to be 400 plus 7,200, which is going to be 7,600. And at 12,000, 2,200 into 10% plus 6,200 into 40% plus 10,200 into the remaining 50%. So that will be 2,200 into 20% plus 6,200 into 40% plus 10,200 into 50%. Total will be 11,980. And at 15,000, our expected profit would be 500, negative 500 into 10% plus 3,500 into 40% plus 7,500 into 30% plus 13,500 into 20%. So it is going to equals, 3,500 into 3,500 into 40% plus 7,500 into 30% plus 13,500 into 20% plus minus 50, which will be 6,350. So the expected profit, which one of the option is having the highest expected profit, is for at the quantity level of 12,000. At 12,000, we are having 11,980 of profit. So among this purchase quantity, which one that we should recommend is the purchase quantity that is providing us with the highest profit. So which is 12,000 units. Yes, option A is the right answer. Do you get it? Okay, let's move forward. This is the last question from our today's session. So a beverage stand can sell either, this is from the conditional profit section. A beverage stand can sell either soft drinks or coffee on any given day if the stand sells soft drinks and the weather is hot. So there are two conditions. If the weather is hot and if the weather is cold. If the weather is hot, if the stand sells, it can sell either soft drinks and it can sell either coffee. If the weather is the stand okay. If the stand sells soft drinks and the weather is sorry. If the stand sells coffee and the weather is hot, the stand sells soft drinks and the weather is hot, it could make 2,500. If the weather is cold, the profit would be 1,000. If the stand sells coffee and the weather is hot, it can make 1,900. And if the weather is cold, the profit will be 2,000. So the probability of cold weather is 60%, but the hot weather will be the remaining 40%. So the expected payoff for selling coffee. So what is the expected payoff for selling coffee? If the weather is hot, it will 40%. The probability, the expected payoff is 1,900. Okay, just missed out. What is 2,500, 1,000, 1,900 and 2,000. So 40% and 60% probability. So what will be the expected payoff for the coffee? We know that 1,900 we could earn if we sell coffee when the probability of the weather is hot. Probability of the weather being hot is 40% plus 2,000 we could earn if the weather is cold into their respective probability 60%. So the expected payoff is going to be 1,900 into 40% plus 2,000 into 60%, which is going to be 1,960. Among the four options, the option that gives the right answer is option D. Do you get it? Okay. Just a minute. So we are having one more question. Okay. We are having one more question. So, okay. The Booster Club at their college sells hot dogs at home basketball games. The group has a frequency distribution of the demand for hot dogs per game and plans to apply the expected value decision rule to determine the number of hot dogs to stock. And the Booster Club should select the demand level that. So they are selling hot dogs at the home basketball games. The frequency distribution of the demand for hot dogs they are provided, and the expected value. They use the expected value decision rule to determine the number of hot dogs they should stock. So the Booster Club should select the demand level that. Which demand level should the Booster Club select? Among the four options read out. Option A has the greatest expected opportunity cost. Option B has the greatest probability of occurring. Option C is closest to the expected demand. Option D has the greatest expected monetary value. Which one of the option is true? Option D has the greatest expected monetary value. Let's check. Yes, you are right. Because from the above previous question, we decided which one to stop regarding the demand and supply levels. We made a decisions based on the expected profit level, expected monetary value, not based on the expected demand, not based on the probability of its occurrence, not based on the expected opportunity cost. We based our decision based on the expected highest expected monetary value, or we could say payoff or profit from the sales. Based on this, we made our decision. Okay, are you clear with the explanation? I have to show you. Yes, let me show you. The expected monetary value is the criterion used to select the best alternative. The booster club should stock the quantity that corresponds to the demand level that has the highest expected value, not the highest opportunity cost, not the expected demand, not the probability level. It should be based on the highest expected monetary value. Are you clear? Okay. Okay, Anju, are you there? So we finished discussing the questions from the probability section. We just finished up with our questions. So tomorrow we will be discussing a fresh section from this part one. So this is the final questions from the section B of planning, budgeting, and forecasting. So today's class is over. Thank you. I will be able to attend only for the first 1 hour of the class. Okay, I will inform the authorities. Okay, you don't worry. I will inform them. Thank you. Thank you. So today's class is over. Good night.